Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing our first prediction. This will probably be one of two predictions. Obviously I'll do one like the day before, but this is going to be my first prediction for only the Georgia runoffs. Obviously, I've already done my Senate prediction, and I did predict that both these seats would stay Republican. However, I did not, first of all, I did not think that the Ossoff versus Perdue seat would go to a runoff. I thought it would be decided on election night for David Perdue. Second, I actually predicted Trump would win in Georgia, thus propelling Perdue to a victory. I guess you can say that I've had a bit of a history, at least for the 2020 election, of underestimating the GOP in Georgia. So of underestimating the Democratic Party in Georgia. So, I will be upfront about that. However, I'm going to be taking a new look at this. So obviously, I've gotten rid of all the seats we don't care about, and I'll fill in the partisan makeup after I predict this. So we're going to start with the Ossoff versus Perdue matchup. Now, obviously, John Ossoff and David Perdue, especially John Ossoff has been becoming more and more well known. He was kind of he's run, like, I wouldn't say a dirty campaign, but he's ran a very aggressive campaign, and he has called Senator Perdue a crook. He's called him like cringy, which I get is kind of a joke, but he's consistently attacking David Perdue. Now, is this a bad strategy? Not necessarily. I mean, it generates a lot of energy, but what I will say is that David Perdue isn't super unpopular in Georgia. She won election 2014 by double digits. That was a red wave year. Obviously, Georgia has gotten a lot bluer since 2014, but he still won re-election. He won election 2014 by double digits. Second, he actually did win the outright vote. He got 49.7% of the vote, which is 0.3% below the 50% threshold that he needs to not be subject to a runoff. So, yeah. But there are certain things that come into play that hurt Senator Perdue, obviously, such as the movement that Trump voters should write in Trump or just boycott the runoff because it's rigged, apparently, or even vote for Ossoff because David Perdue didn't stand up for Trump, apparently. At a rally, I think yesterday, he was with President Trump, campaigning with him, and the people at the rally started chanting "Fight for Trump," obviously because Senator Perdue has not really spoken out in support of Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the election. So, yeah, that is not good news for Senator Perdue, especially just because the GOP, especially since Donald Trump lost the election, and I'm going to say he lost the election. I don't see any evidence that would be enough to overturn it to make him another president, but to make him a two-term president. But really, I think that the issue here is that David Perdue has lost his appeal to Trump voters at least a decent amount because he hasn't, been an outspoken advocate for President Trump since November 3rd. Now, obviously, I'm pretty sure he voted for Trump. I mean, he says he voted for Trump, but the issue that he has, like I said, is that Trump voters are losing trust in him. So I think that's going to hurt him. I think that's going to hurt him down ballot, just especially with the lack of enthusiasm. But he still has a lot going for him. I mean, in the Real Clear Politics aggregate, which did actually lean more Republican than 538, and we're going to take a look at that in a second, but has Purdue up by 0.2%. Look at how close that is, 0.2%. So, yeah, but the latest two polls actually from Trafalgar, which is a Republican poll, which I retweeted on Twitter saying I don't trust it, seeing how inaccurate they were this year. They put John Ossoff up by 1, which I don't think it's super significant. I think people are overhyping, well, if a Republican poll is putting Ossoff up by 1, I don't think it's too significant. But another poll from Survey USA, which actually was pretty good this year, they put Ossoff up by 2. Fox has it as a tie, but Remington Research, which is another Republican poll, put Perdue up by 4. So nearly every poll has this as a tight race. But the polls actually do favor Ossoff at this point. So, yeah. But I do want to take a look at the polls on RCP. Let's take a look at the U.S. Senate polls between Ossoff and Warnock, or Ossoff and Perdue. I wish there was a way to okay. So I think someone just sorry, I got distracted, but hopefully that doesn't show up. But yeah, so John Ossoff in the latest poll was up by 1, up by 1, up by 2, tied. That's good. But down by 4. Perdue was up by 4. Purdue was up by 2, by 1. And then here's one from Data for Progress, which had Ossoff up by 5. So the polls are kind of, some of them are kind of wacky, especially in that runoff between Loeffler and Raphael Warnock. But right now, I'm going to put this in the lean Republican column. I mean, I just don't see Ossoff. I mean, he lost the outright vote, which is probably why I'm saying that he's going to lose, especially in a runoff where turnout is lower. And there are going to be new voters who turn 18, like, in late November after the election, but will be old enough to vote in the runoff. I get that, but I just don't see the turnout being high enough for Ossoff to win. I mean, Biden had to have insanely high turnout from here, and he still barely won the state. He carried it by 0.2%. So I just don't see – it's a very, very thin path to victory for John Ossoff. But if he – first of all, he needs very high turnout from those voters that turned 18 in between the election and the runoff. Second, he needs at least a small, like 2 or 3%, maybe 1% actually, to be fair, of those former Perdue voters to just not vote, boycott the runoff, or vote in Trump. So, yeah. But right now, I'm going to put as lean Republican. I think Purdue's going to win it by 2 to 3%. Now, moving on to the to the Warnock v. Loeffler race. First of all, I think the Republican Party shot themselves in the foot. Well, not really, but the voters of Georgia who are Republican shot themselves in the foot when they picked Kelly Loeffler to go up against Raphael Warnock, as opposed to Doug Collins, who's more popular. He's more pro-Trump than Kelly Loeffler, apparently. Well, according to his supporters, he's also just more right-wing in general. So I still think it's that she's a very bad candidate, especially with their insider trading scandals, which, by the way, Raphael Warnock needs to do a better job of calling her out than he's running. His campaign is a stark contrast to Ossoff. Ossoff is an attack, is just an attack on David Perdue, and Raphael Warnock is an attack. Isn't really attacking Kelly Loeffler at all. He's running a very positive campaign centered around him. So, yeah. But anyways, taking a look at the polling data, the most recent poll from Trafalgar, which sampled, I'm assuming, the same group of voters, had Loeffler up by 5. So that means we're seeing a decent amount of these voters take it split between Warnock and Loeffler, between Ossoff and Loeffler. But the other polls have put Warnock up by 2, by 7. But let's just see what the A+ rated pollsters are saying. Well, there actually haven't been any recently, but the recent polls have skewed a little bit towards Raphael Warnock. I mean, I don't know what says Ralph Warnock, but Raphael Warnock is ahead in the RCP average, which obviously isn't great, but it's still interesting because it does skew to the right. Now, I do think that Warnock is going to outperform John Ossoff, but I still think he's going to fall very, very short. I think he's going to lose by less than 1% to Kelly Loeffler. I just don't see the turnout. I think the runoff, if this was just a normal election just happening on election day between two candidates, I think that Ossoff and Warnock could both be favored to win, but right now, I'm just not sure if the turnout's going to be high enough. I think it'll be close. I do think there are going to be some split ticketers, 1 to 2% of the electorate that are going to vote Perdue and Warnock just because of Kelly Loeffler's insider trading scandals that have been more well-known than Perdue's, although both of them do have insider trading scandals. But yeah, so I think it'll just barely go red. So this is obviously what the Senate makeup would look like if my prediction is correct. So yeah, but honestly, this election was kind of a wash to the Democrats. I mean, they were able to defeat Donald Trump, which is great for them. I'm sure they're very happy about that. But right now, not Virginia. But right now, I just am not sure if this election will be viewed as a win. So this is I don't want to do that. This is what the Senate would look like. But lean Republican for the special election, or for the Ossoff election, tilt Republican for the Loeffler versus Warnock election. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day.